Hi, I'm Scott Cleaver, CEO and founder of Educated Wealth. And you probably come onto this video because maybe you saw one of our ads on our social media, right? Maybe one of our platforms, Facebook, IG, YouTube. You saw the link to click on it, right? Or maybe one of your friends sent this to you, or one of our agents reached out to you, right? And why are you watching this video? Maybe because you don't want to lose any more money in your retirement, right? Maybe you've been working very hard with your retirement, and hey, I don't want to lose any more money, right? Or maybe you're here because you learned that we can teach you how to have a tax-free retirement, right? Maybe be able to build up some money to where it can be liquid, where you can use it, become your own bank, right? Or maybe you're here because you want to learn how to have income for life, right? Actually, never being able to run out of money. We teach all that here, right? And so, again, guys, I'm the founder here. And why did I get started here in the financial services, right? I actually come from 16 years in the education background, right? I used to be a teacher, then a high school vice principal, running schools in New York as well as in California, right? After 16 years, I realized that we don't teach about money in education, but every single day we need money, right? There's never been a day that you don't need money, I don't need money, but we never teach about it, right? And taxes may be going up, stock market up, down, inflation, right? It seems to be getting higher and higher. Cost of living is just getting crazy, but we don't teach about money. And somehow what's crazy is that the wealthy seem to keep getting wealthier and wealthier, regardless of where taxes are going. It seems like they don't really pay much taxes, right? When inflation is getting up higher and higher, it doesn't affect them. They seem to get wealthier. The poor get poorer. The middle class kind of seems to be disappearing, right? And so that's why we wanted to create Educated Wealth. We wanted to teach people about how to actually win in the money game. Because why are wealthy people winning the money game? Because they know the rules. Why is the average Joe, the average middle class person, not winning in the money game? Because they don't understand the rules. Imagine playing a game that you don't even know the rules to. So we're going to start talking here a little bit more about how to win in this game, right? And so let me share my screen here real quick. And you may be someone like me that says, "Hey, I grew up and I wasn't really taught too much about money, Scott. And I was, learn to say, get a good job, get a 401k, work 40 years, hopefully be able to, retire one day, right? And maybe that's it. That's kind of how I was. I wasn't really taught about taxes. I wasn't really taught about how to not lose money. I definitely wasn't taught about how to build up any kind of real true portfolio and really do well in finances, right? And so what can we help you with here, right? And so we're going to talk about, one is how to never lose money anymore in the stock market. But when the stock market goes up, you can still get 70, 80% of the market gains. Sounds too good to be true? Stay tuned, right? And so let's jump into here, right? And so lots of ways to make money between you, me, the lamppost. Thousands of different ways to make money, but money only grows three ways, right? What are those? Fixed, variable, and indexing, right? And so we're going to kind of break them all down. And again, guys, we're Educated Wealth. We're here to educate you, right? Not here to push you in a certain way. I want to educate you and kind of let you know all what's out there, your different options. Again, we're very big on not putting all your eggs into one basket, but you should be able to make an informed decision, not being just told what to do. Right. So what's fixed? Fixed is like your checking account, right? Savings, CD, right? Maybe like a money market, right? Why do people have so much money in the bank account? Because it's safe. You can't lose any money. The market crashes tomorrow. Guess what? You still have that same amount of money in the bank, right? Someone goes and robs the bank. You technically still have money in the bank, right? It's FDIC protected. Well, what's the bad about that? You can't make any money in the bank, right? You have $1,000 in the bank in a year, you have $1,000 again. Maybe a little bit less because of fees, right? You can't get wealth. You can't build a retirement by putting money in the bank. We all know that, right? Gotcha. Well, what's variable, right? Well, actually, let me go through here in a graph, right? And so in a graph, how does a fixed look? You're not really making any money, barely. It's not outpacing inflation, that's for sure, right? So what's variable? Variable examples of this, right? 401k, 403b, 457, right? IRA, maybe a Roth IRA. Maybe you have some of these through your job, right? IRA, holding it on your own. Stock market, right? Maybe you're day trading, mutual funds, cryptocurrency, if you're into that, like a Bitcoin, or maybe you're doing, hey, I'm trying to be a little bit safer, doing like an index fund. All these are variables. These are multiple different examples of how money grows in a variable way. The majority of people that are growing money and trying to build for retirement, they have money in these avenues, right? That's how most people are growing their money. Well, what's another reason why? Because you can get a lot of growth, right? Hey, a stock market's up, I can make a lot of money. What also is the negative here about the stock market, right? About these funds. They can go up, but what also can happen? They can go down, right? You can lose all, right, or a portion of your money, right? And so how does this look on the graph, right? You make a little bit, you lose a little bit. Make a little bit more, lose a little bit. Make a lot more, lose a little bit. And then a crash can happen, right? Or sometimes they call it just a market correction, right? Which like happened in 2000 to 2001, 2002, where the market crashed, people lost about 46%. Can you imagine being a couple of years away from retirement, or maybe you're already in retirement, and your savings that was in your 401k, your IRA, your 403b, you just lost it by 50%? Well, what are you going to do? What's your plan? How do you got to pivot and shift? That happened to millions and millions of people back in those years. Okay, well, what happened in 2008? Almost 40% gone. The average person losing quite a bit of money. Again, what do you do? And also during 2008, that was when the real estate bubble burst, right? So imagine your retirement portfolio takes a major hit, as well as your home value went down, right? And again, affected millions and millions of people, right? Some people had to go back to work, right? Some people had to take another job, pivot, right? Also then during COVID, we all know about COVID, right? Okay, 2022 crash in 1 year, market went down over 17%. Hey, this is variable, right? All these different avenues here are examples of a variable. You can make money, but you can also lose money. Then you have indexing. Indexing you can only get into two ways: an index universal life insurance plan or an index annuity, right? What does this mean? Well, you're actually being credited interest, right, from an insurance company based off an index. An index, like an example, like an S&P 500. You've already heard me kind of talk about that, right? Maybe a Dow Jones or a NASDAQ, right? But your money's actually never in the market. It's just credited based off of how the market does. So it's actually safe. These have a disposition to never lose money. It's actually a contract you sign with the insurance company guaranteeing that no matter what the market does, you will not lose money. Okay, let me explain more. Well, so let me give you an example here, right? Taken here from one of our carriers, okay? Shows you from the last 20 years what the S&P 500 did, right? Okay, let me get a little flashlight here, right? And so going on here, using my flashlight so we can all kind of be on the same page here, right? So what did the S&P 500 do the last 20 years, from 2004 to basically up to 2023, right? And then this is actually showing you what did indexing do. If I had money growing in indexing, if you had money growing in indexing, in either a universal life insurance policy, an index universal life insurance policy, or some people call them an IUL for short, right? Or an index annuity, this will show you an indexing, right? Okay, this is going to show you variable, right? Maybe it's in a 401k, an IRA, your stock market, mutual fund, right? This is kind of what the S&P 500, one of the indexes, did. So how does indexing work? Well, you have a ceiling. You have a ceiling of maybe like 12%, right? So what does that mean? Well, when in 2004, when the market went up a little over 12%, you would have been capped or hit the ceiling, right? You would have hit the ceiling at 12%. So you didn't get all the gains, right? In 2006, the market went up 12%, 0.29 technically, right? You would have been credited 12%, okay? Down here in 2009, the market had a very good year, went up 27%. Over 27%, you would have been capped. You wouldn't have got all the gains. You would have got 12%. So that's the negative, right? You don't get all the gains, but you get most. If you got all the gains and you never lost, like that would be perfect. That doesn't exist, right? Okay. So what's the negative? Or that's the negative, right? What's the positive here? One is when the market goes down, you cannot lose. Remember, there's a disposition to never lose money. But actually, when the market goes down, there's a floor. That floor is 0.25%, which actually means you make money when the market's going down. So like in 2008, when the market went down almost 40%, you would have made money. Not a lot, a little bit, right? 0.25%. but everyone else is losing money. You technically were making money. Okay. Well, what about happened in 2011? Market went down almost 2%, right? You made 0.25%. Okay. What happened just recently during COVID? Market went down over 17%. Everyone lost, right? Pretty much everyone lost that money in the stock market. Guess what? You made money because you were growing money in indexing 0.25%. Okay. And when you start to look at the actual percentages, not really a big difference. 7.71% of what an S&P 500 did the last 20 years, and 8.08%, right, of what if you had money growing in an indexing. Not really a big deal, right? Let's see. Are we actually looking at the right number? So how does the actual indexing, if I'm growing money through an IUL or an index annuity, how does it actually look on a graph? It's a green line here. When the market's going up, I'm getting most of the gains. Market's going down, I'm flat. I'm not losing any money. I'm actually making a little bit, but not really. I'm just kind of flat. Market starts to go back up, I'm making most of the gains again. Market goes down, I'm kind of frozen. Not really. I'm definitely not losing, but making a little bit. Market starts to go back up again, and I'm making most of the gains, right? So how does this actually start to look when we start to talk about real money and numbers, right? Because I don't know if you always heard this. I've heard this, right, in my lifetime, sometimes from financial gurus, sometimes from Wall Street people, right, is, hey, don't worry about it, man. Stock market goes down, stock market goes up, which is true, but you don't really lose money until you take your money out, right? Hey, don't worry about, look, the market went down, the market came right back up, you're even, you're good. Is that really true? Or is that more of a myth? They just kind of telling us that stuff to keep our money in the stock market, right? Keep our money in our company's 401k, right? Let's actually see, right? So we start to go through here, right? Stock market, right? So you have stocks in your 401k and IRA. Stock market, you have $20,000. Stock market goes down 50%. How much do you have? You have 10 grand. Stock market goes right back up 50 grand, or I'm sorry, 50%. Went up, down 50, went up 50%. How much do you have? You started with 20, you lost half, it goes back up 50%. Are you even? A lot of people think you're even. You're not. You only have $15,000. What? Yeah, you lost $5,000. Well, how did you do that? That doesn't make sense. I went down 50, I went up 50, I should be even. I'm on a staircase. I take one step down, I take one step up, I'm on the same staircase. It sounds like it should make sense. Logically, it should make sense, but when you actually apply percentages to money, it doesn't work the same. So when you see over here where the percentages aren't that much difference, let's see if it's the same over here. Well, you just lost half, right? $20,000, you lost half to $10,000. Market goes back up 50%. 50% of what? What you had left in the market. 50% of 10,000 is $5,000. You're only back up to 15,000. You lost. You lost that $5,000. What if you did the exact same thing in indexing? And maybe in through an IUL, right, or an index annuity. You had $20,000. Stock market goes down 50%. In indexing, you can't lose. Technically, you can make 0.25%. So guess what? You're at 20,500. Ooh, you made 500 bucks. Well, 500 bucks a whole lot better than losing $10,000, right? Guess what? Market goes back up 50%. You didn't get all 50%, but you got 12%. So now you're up to 22,960. What would you rather have? Okay. Would you rather have $15,000 or 22,960? If you said 22,960, you probably index may make sense to you, right? But now think about it. If you had to pick just one, right? You had to pick fixed, variable, or indexing. Which would you pick? A lot of people, once they start to see this and actually really start to understand it, say, hey, I definitely need to add indexing, maybe an IUL or an index universal, I'm sorry, index annuity to my portfolio, right? They start to really get that, hey, they can't lose money, but they can still get most of the gains, right? So we're shifting here. Let's shift here now and actually go into some real numbers, right? Because here's the reality, right? Is women lie, men lie. Numbers never lie. So let's get real here with these numbers, right? Because we just showed you what does indexing look like, right? Kind of comparing it a little bit to in the past, what does the S&P 500 do? But now actually let's get real numbers, right? And start to show you, Okay, now we're going to show you historical, right, performance of the S&P 500, which again, a lot of people are tied to when they have a 401k and IRA. It's tied to the S&P 500 or it's performing like it, right? Versus you have money growing in an indexing, right, with a 12% ceiling and a 0.25% floor, right? That's your window. Okay, and so we're going to compare, showing actually with money what's the difference here. Because remember, we talked about the percentage wasn't that big a difference. So is that really a big difference or not? Let's see how it applies to money, right? So obviously S&P 500 is like your 401k, 403b, 450, right? Like that's kind of typical of what S&P 500 is, right? Okay, indexing again is only two ways, either IUL or an index annuity, right? So let's say you have $250,000. You're not going to touch it. You're not going to add any money to it. You're not going to take any money. You're just going to kind of let it ride, right? Okay. What's going to happen in 2000 to 2002? We know, hey, you lost money, right? You just lost over $100,000 gone in a couple of years. Well, we talked about in the last slide how this may affect you. All right. Well, if you had indexing, guess what? You didn't make too much money. You made $2,800, almost $2,900. Would you rather made $2,900 in those 3 years or lost over $100,000? If you said make, then obviously indexing probably makes sense for you, right? Okay, what happens in the market? It bounces back. Hey, it does good, 26%, right? 12 over almost 13%, 12%, right? Okay, cool. Notice here in indexing only 12%, 12%. You got capped. You didn't get all the gains. But notice 2006, basically 7 years later, is the first year you're actually back to even or almost where you were at $250,000. You're actually ahead a little bit. Took you 7 years to get back to where you originally started when you lost money. Well, what would have happened if you're indexing? You're now up $123,000 over that, over $123,000. Would you rather be up $123,000 or just getting back to even after 6 years? Yeah, and if you said, hey, I'd rather be up, indexing may make sense for you, right? So what happens in the market? Oh, 2008 hit, right? Hey, you just lost, right? How much did you lose? In 1 year, you just lost $102,000. Gone, just like that. That can happen in the variable. I make money, I can also lose money, right? Well, what would happen in indexing? You didn't really make much money, right? But you're now up a total of $128,000, almost close to $130,000 up. Would you rather be up $130,000 or down $102,000, right? The difference between indexing and variable, right? Okay. What happens in the market? Hey, it's doing great, coming back. But now in 2012, this is the first year, 13 years later from when you originally put the 250,000 in. This is the first year now you're now back up because you lost it again. You're now back up and you've made a total of $3,371 gains. If you're in indexing, guess what? You're now up $281,000. Even though you didn't get all the gains, you got most. And that's the power of not losing money, right? Okay, what happens in the market? We go into the biggest bull market we've ever had, the longest for like 10 plus years, right? Doing great. Comes doing phenomenal, right? Almost 25% 1 year, right? Over 25% in 2019. Almost, look at almost 30% in 2021. Okay, but you notice here, in 2022, hey, you lost money. You lost 144,000 in 1 year, gone, right? Okay, had that same money in indexing, you would have made $3,000. Oh, big deal, I made $3,000. I'd rather make $3,000 than lose 144,000. I don't know about you, that just seems to make sense, right? So what ended up happening here, right? After, since the year 2000 to basically up till now, right? Up to last year in December, end of the year, right? 2023. Okay, we start to notice a little bit difference in the money. But let's look at the actual percentages. Again, the percentage, S&P 500 over those 23 years did 6.77%. Indexing only did 7.36%. So it did do better. It outperformed the S&P 500. A lot of my financial gurus don't like to know that. A lot of my Wall Street peeps don't want to admit that indexing actually did a higher percentage than the S&P 500. But is that big of a difference? It's not even a full percentage. It's not that big a difference. But let's look at it when it's actually money. you have money growing the S&P 500, you start at 250,000. Now you're up $585,000, right? Almost $586,000. Basically more than doubled your money, right? Okay. Almost tripled your money. Not bad. Pretty good. Well, what happened if you're in indexing? You're up over $1 million, right? $108,000, over $108,000. Big difference. Definitely big difference, right? Okay. Almost a $500,000 difference. That's the power, right? And we're like, hey, is this that big of a difference? I don't know about you. $500,000 to me is a big deal, right? That's the power of not losing money, right? This is compounding interest. Hey, the money's going to keep growing. Compounding interest is going to lose, but it's continuing to grow. The bigger it gets, the bigger it grows. But indexing is uninterrupted compounding interest. So if you're like, hey, indexing, I kind of like indexing, cool. Hey, you may want to book an appointment with us now to learn more. But hold on, because the actual growth is not really the big reason why people use IULs or index annuities over putting money in their 401k, over putting money in a IRA, a Roth IRA, right? Let's go through here right now. For comparing all three here, right? Growth. Well, obviously you can get growth in an index annuity, right? Your 401k, IRA, right? Obviously in an IUL, right? Anything indexed, you can get a lot of growth. Gotcha. Well, what about guaranteed income for life? Hey, I'm retired. I'm retired at 65 years old. I have $835,000 now. How much can I take out? How much I need to live off of that? I need it to live, right? I can't let it run out. How long until I run out? How much do I need to take out a year? How do I budget that? It's a very hard budgeting question, right? So guess what? It doesn't exist if you have money in your 401k and your 403b. You need to shift it to either an index annuity, which has a lifetime income, guaranteed lifetime income, meaning you cannot run out of money. You're technically setting up a pension for yourself. It's eventually become annuitized. Same thing if you do it in an IUL, in an index universal life insurance plan, right? Guaranteed you'll never run out of money. Doesn't matter if you live to 70, 80, 90, 100, 120, you won't run out of money. I don't know about you. I like guarantees. I like to have that peace of mind knowing that, hey, I will never run out of money. It's going to keep coming in. There's a lot of people, when you talk to people that are retired, their biggest fear, how much money they have, the biggest fear is running out of money. So that gets solved right there, right? Okay, what about market loss? Well, we've gone and totally proven, right? You can lose money in the S&P 500. You can lose money in your 401k, 403b, IRAs, right? Index funds. You can lose money. You can't lose money if you're indexing in an IUL or an index annuity, right? We know that. Okay, living benefits, like long-term care. What if you get sick? What if you have a heart attack, stroke, cancer? If something serious happened to you, you know, there's a 60% chance once somebody's over the age of 60 that that's going to happen, happen to you. That could majorly affect you financially, right? Well, guess what? That doesn't, there's no help for you in a 401k, 403b. That could actually hurt you. But if you have to go to a long-term care facility, right? That hurts people a lot. My grandparents had to end up paying over $8,000 a month. My grandmother dealing with Alzheimer's. How fast do you go through your retirement with that? Very fast. A month, $8,000 to $10,000 a month, very fast. Well, if you have an index annuity or an IUL and through life insurance, they actually give you benefits for that to where they'll give you more money. You need to use your death benefit in life insurance, or the income that you're getting can be doubled in the annuity to help cover those costs. Big, big difference, right? About tax-free death. Well, you can't get that in your 401k or IRA. Okay. When you die, guess what? All this money is going to get taxed, going to whoever you leave it to. When they spend, it's going to get taxed again. Okay. Same thing in an index annuity. Okay. Well, guess what? In an IUL, in an index universal life insurance plan, when you die, all that money left, that $1.3 million plus whatever the death benefit may come with it, all of it goes to whoever you leave it to, tax-free. Okay. Well, what about the growth? All this money that's growing here. Okay. Guess what? All this money here, you're going to have to pay taxes on in your 401k IRA later on. Okay. You're going to have to pay taxes on in an index annuity. Okay. If you have it in a life insurance plan, in the IUL, an index universal life insurance plan, all this growth is growing tax-free. You never pay taxes on it. And guess what? If you want to start to use this money and borrow it, you can't. Not until you're 59 and a half in your 401k or IRA. Okay, you can't. In an index annuity, you can't really touch that until, again, same rules apply over 59 and a half. But if you're growing it through life insurance, through an IUL, an index universal life insurance plan, all this money that's building up and growing can be liquidable. You can use it and leverage it, pay things off in college, start a business, build business, buy equipment, right? Buy cars. A lot of people will start to build up assets like buying laundromats or real estate. Okay, start having their tenants or their customers pay and start funding their retirement plan, right? Because when you take that money out, it's actually still growing like you never took it out. You're technically borrowing it from your death benefit. Can you start to see why people like to add indexing to their portfolio? Can you see why the wealthy of wealthy have this part of their portfolio? I'm not telling you to not have 401k. I'm not telling you to not have money in the stock market. I'm not telling you to not have a bank account. But if you have all your eggs in one basket, I talk to people all the time. Scott, I'm diverse. I got 401k. I got an IRA, right? I got crypto. And all these things that they have all fall in a variable. I'm like, when the stock market crashes, which it will, we all know it does eventually at some point, which one do you not lose money in? Well, because you're not diverse. You need to have an avenue where the bulk of what you have that your foundation is always rock solid. Meaning if the stock market crashes, you're safe, you're protected. Also that, hey, you're not going to pay taxes. Now, if you're doing through life insurance, you won't pay any taxes on it. If you want to have guaranteed income for life, you need to either have an index annuity or an index universal life insurance plan. That's guaranteed for life to have income. If you want to learn more, if you want to specifically learn how does this look for you, book an appointment with us, okay? Click on the link below to set up a time where we can educate you and teach you to see if this works for you, if this is a fit for you. We don't charge for that, okay? We're here to educate and help people out. Or if you want to learn about maybe an IUL, this IUL I keep hearing about, maybe this makes sense for me. I mean, IUL had all these checks. If an IUL makes sense for you, go and click on the link here for the next video where we actually show you specifically of, does an IUL make sense for you? How does it actually look? How is it broken down? What happens if I'm putting money in for the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What does it look like? Do I have to fund it forever? Can I use money from it? What type of money can I get out of retirement? We're going to actually show you and break that all down in our next video. Okay. Until then, I'll see you again. You guys be blessed. Bye.